Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you guys the Donner L1 Essential. This is Donner's latest synthesizer, and some of you guys have probably heard of this already. It was announced a while ago. It's finally here. I'm sure you guys have seen it popping up on YouTube channels left and right. Now it's hit mine, and I've had this thing for about a month, and I've been really impressed with the quality of its sound and performance. Donner honestly has been a brand that's slowly gotten better and better with every product that they've released. I've tested those and I've been wowed every single time. I'm like, wow, that's really a step above the last one. Wow, that's such an improvement from their last one. And again, here we are. I'm saying the same thing. This is a very intuitive design, and let's go over those features today, give you a little sound demo. Before I begin, I just want to say Donner did send this to me. The only obligation was that I did a video, and so here we are. I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion about this. Thanks, guys. Let's begin. So the Donner L1 Essential is inspired by the classic Roland SH101. It has a lot of new features, and it still sounds incredible. So I'm going to give you guys a quick little nerd moment here. This stuff interests me, and so maybe it'll interest you too. They've utilized classic chips in the synthesizer. For example, the VCO, which is the oscillator, it's where the sound is coming from, the sound is being produced. They used classic chips in there. They utilized the 3340, which I've heard of. Do I know exactly what that means? No, but do I know it's been used in classic instruments and I've utilized synthesizers with it and always liked the sound? Yes. Also, the VCF, they've utilized the 3109 chip in it. Another classic thing. You look that up, go check it out. You know, while you're watching this video, take out your phone. Maybe you're using your phone, I don't know. Switch to Google and take a look at those and be like, what else were these used in? You'll be like, oh, that's cool. That's impressive. Let's take it from the top here, okay? So this is a unique design for many reasons. This keyboard, first and foremost, comes right off. You don't need the keyboard. These two units are actually sold separately and together. So you have the option for both. When we first start from left to right, you'll notice that we have this glide section mode. It's off, on, or automatic. What is glide? It's one note to the next. It will kind of glide. So I set up a little patch here. I'm going to turn on the glide. And you can change the timing of how long it takes to glide. Feel like you guys are about to watch a movie. THX or whatever that was. Blows out your eardrums. So yeah, glide, there you go. So each of the different LFO waveforms that we have is triangle, square, random, and noise. I'll give you a demonstration of each one. And you can also sync the rate. That's basically like the speed, the velocity. So let's say you have like other gear and you like to play with, you can sync it to that. You can use it within your DAW and sync up that rate to something in your DAW that you're using. The different waveforms that we have here, we have square, which is kind of blocky, I would describe it. We also have random, which this is pretty cool. This sounds like some old school computer, and there's a lot of weird and unique things, but I like weird and unique that you can do with random. I think that sounds cool. Then we have noise, which, you know, is really random as well, but it's like all of them combined. The technical people, I'm sure, in the comments can give a better description of that, but let's give you an example of that. Awesome. Lots of uses. Let's keep going. The pitch mod. This pitch mod influences the oscillator, which is where the sound is being created of the LFO. So it's like, wait, what does that mean? I'll just give you an example. So we'll go back to like the original one. There you go. There's some uses for that. This section right here is the range, and I mean, if you want like your normal keyboard range, you know, then you leave it at 16. If you notice, I have more range on the keyboard as I go through those octaves. So yeah, you can just get some unique outcomes there and control with your octave ranges. The pitch mod will be, I'll show you. So you'll notice right here, it kind of gets hidden if these faders are blocking it, but you have envelope, which I'll get to in a sec, but it's being influenced by, it says ENV1, so this envelope here, you have two envelope generators, and the envelopes, a good way to look at them is it changes the timing of the sound. So you have one for your amp, which is like the output where the sound is coming out, and then you have one for the filter. This first one is really influenced by the filter. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong there, but I'll show you. You see that? So it changes the pitch based on what the envelope is being set at with, you know, the full attack, the full ADSR, I should just say, to make it simpler. Okay, pulse width modulation. You guys are going to like this because if you're using like a square wave, you're going to be able to get some very unique characteristics. So LFO, you can see it's going along with what's happening here. Envelope again, envelope 1. Just a lot of unique ways to shape your sound, you know what I mean? I think it's great, and you can get some cool outcomes out of that. Now, moving along, part of our oscillator, we have this main source mixer section, which honestly is very simple. It's like the volume knobs for all of the different sound sources that we have here. We have a sub oscillator, which sounds super cool. And you can choose 3 different options. One is just 1 octave down, and then it goes 2, and then it shows you the different waveforms. So you can use that alongside other waveforms here. We have square, it looks like Sawtooth, and Sine. And we also, let's show you Sawtooth. You can get a little gritty. You know, just like square, but square sounds more hollow. And then we have Sine. Which I think is like the foundation. I think Sine is super cool. Noise. Okay, again, we had mentioned noise earlier with the LFO. Noise is like just random with the waveforms, and then external in. So yeah, you can definitely plug in some other stuff and manipulate it here. I guess if you guys want to hear all of them together. A cool way to utilize noise as well is you can just kind of add it in just a little bit to give it like a vintage character when you're playing something. You know, adding a little bit of noise, like almost like it's like a bad recording, or you know, for some saturation. I think that that's pretty neat. So the filter section, this is kind of how we start to shape the sound more. You have frequency, resonance, and envelope 1, LFO, and then keyboard. So essentially what these are all doing, these faders, is you have your standard frequency and resonance. So that's like opening the filter all the way. And then we can add some resonance. Kind of adds it, makes it more sharper. That's how you can get it to be more squelchy. Utilize resonance with your frequency. Get some cool harmonics there. So you can have the filter be influenced by the envelope. You can have it be influenced by the LFO, which we were demonstrating earlier. Or the keyboard. Okay, so we have 2 envelope generators. I had mentioned that before. Envelope 1 is based off of the filter. Envelope 2 is your amp. So we've demonstrated envelope 1 a lot. Let's move on to envelope 2, because this is like the sound coming out of the system. Pretty simple to understand, I think, if you just played around with it a little bit. Let's talk about this other section here. We have volume, tempo, and so the volume, obviously the output for the amp, and then the tempo is influenced for this section here. You have a sequencer and an arpeggiator. You can save and kind of create your own kind of grooves here on the sequencer. And then you have an LCD, which is nice. It's easy to understand. A question I had got before was, can you save patches? You cannot save patches on this. You can save sequences, though. That's kind of what this is about. And I can show you, I had just made one just for fun. So it's a 64-step sequencer, and there's lots and lots of features within this that you'll see. It tells you how to use this like its own keyboard, but it bypasses keyboard mode when you have the keyboard attached. Which, something interesting to note is that Donner is planning more instruments to be compatible with this keyboard. This keyboard can also be used as a standalone MIDI controller for your DAW. I've done that. It works great. No latency issues at all. So the other parts where you can access this beyond the keyboard, like I was saying, is the Arpeggiator. You can use like Shift and these different options here to access different features with the Arpeggiator. It's a 5-mode Arpeggiator, so right now I have mine set on 3 octaves. And you can see that it's playing off of this, which is 16 steps, and you can turn on and off steps. You can even add hold, so I can let go. Now, different modes you can see here. You can change the octaves. You can change how it's functioning. It's saying random, up and down and up, down. So those are the different features of the Arpeggiator. I think it's a great Arpeggiator. It's fun to clock sync it and play it along in any DAW that you might have. And then a lot of these will let you get quick access to certain features here that just kind of work out, you know. This all goes hand in hand. The keyboard, again, I think it's a great little keyboard. You can see the octaves that we have. It's like 2.5 octaves on here. And then you can see all of the different functions, channels, and then the shift, and then you like kind of press it to change out the different options here for you as you're trying to customize. Let's talk about the connectivity options on here. So like I said, this is like a magnetized pin type of thing, and you can plug it in via USB-C, MIDI out, this little hold, which is a 1/4-inch jack. Now, if we move on to the unit itself, so the different connections that we have is external in that we had talked about before on that mixer section. It's 1/4-inch, the main out. It's mono and it's a 1/4-inch. Hold again, MIDI in and MIDI out. They're using these 3.5 millimeters, so you'll need dongles. Mine didn't come with any, but those are easier to come by nowadays. They didn't used to be, but now they are. USB-C, love USB-C. Yes, let's just stick to USB-C now, you guys. You have your DC and then your on-off switch. You also have more ports here. You have clock, sync in and out, CV and gate out, another external in that is a 3.5 millimeter, and then a headphone jack, which is 3.5 millimeters. So a lot of these are for modular synthesizer setups. You want to use it with your rig, you know, and play along with your other stuff. I think that's cool. I really mean that. I think that this instrument is a very, very versatile instrument, an instrument for the modern age. They brought something old, they made it new, and I think it's going to work with everyone's setups really, really well. All right, so now let's talk about the different pricing options that we have. So like I said, these are sold in different combinations. You can get this as a standalone. This is just the L1 on their website. It looks like the MSRP is around $380, but I've not seen it actually ever sold for that. It's being sold for $260 by itself on their website. The keyboard is called the KB-32M. That is going for $109 US, MSRP $219. Again, I've never seen it sold for $219, just the $109. So now combined, the L1 with the KB-32M, that is going for $369 or $370 US, $600 MSRP. I've not seen it sold for that. For one that's an SH101 style, this is a huge competitor as a standalone unit. Now, when you combine the keyboard, that starts to change, but by itself, since it can be its own keyboard too and be played, alone, I think it's a fantastic, fantastic price. Amazing sound quality, very vintage, very classic sounding. And I think you guys are going to actually really, really like this one. This is by far my favorite Donner instrument I've ever played. I say that every time that I get one of their instruments, but that's because they keep improving and they keep really impressing me on the instruments that they're coming out with. So would I recommend this? Totally. Who is this for? I think this is for someone who has a smaller setup, maybe. If you wanted to get it by itself and you're limited on desk space, you want a mono synth, this thing can get squelchy. It's great if you want to do, those squelchy arpeggiations and electronic music. It can also be a great mono instrument just played along with the keyboard here for leads and bass lines. So whoever you are, out there, I think that you're going to really enjoy this if you're looking for another mono instrument at an affordable price with classic vintage sounds. Let me know what you guys think about this. I'm going to be including affiliate links in my description. If you guys want to help support my channel, use those links. It's at no additional cost to you. I just make a commission off that. And hey, if you guys haven't been following along, I haven't been releasing videos as frequently as I used to. And, I've been going through a lot of personal stuff. Like I said, if you've been following along, you'll know what I'm talking about. But we're making it work. And, I'm still trying to stick with what I love doing. Again, if you guys want to support me, use those links. Leave a like, comment, talk to each other, ask questions. We're a community, and that's what it's all about, is building our community. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I am not about gatekeeping anything, and I think this should be for everybody. Electronic music in general is the realest magic out there, and synthesizers are just so cool, especially analog ones. We'll end on that note. I want to thank Donner for sending this my way. I love it. You're gonna love it, and we'll catch y'all next time. Peace.